The story begins with the main character rode in the other along the street and stopped near the building. Students on the street took pictures of a red racing car. Someone shouted that Yuan had changed his car to a new one. The main character opened the side door of the car, and from there his girlfriend came out. One student viciously said that the main character only acted and is already dating a Tornman from the class of stewardesses. The passerby straightened his glasses, explained that if the guy is rich and he has money, then he has the right to choose a partner. An angry student said that the protagonist has a whole monopoly. All freshmen are crazy about him. Yuan walked along a crowded street, accompanied by a tall and beautiful girl. The stranger looked displeasedly and said in displeasure that the body of Zhuo Vantin could not be better than her. A girlfriend with a lipstick in her hand answered the girl so that she would not give the opportunity to Zhuo to overshadow her. The main character turned his head to the side and looked at the people around. Yuan walked past the shops with his girlfriend. It so happened that in the first year his luxurious and wasteful lifestyle ended. Due to the disaster, 3 tourist companies of the protagonist were warmed up, and there was $1 million debt. Yuan went into the room for students and invited a friend to go to play in an internet cafe. Lao answered in a dissatisfied voice that they were not so close friends. Another guy in the room told the main character that he was no longer a rich man. Yuan stood sad on the roof and remembered that his past friends were leaving one by one. The main character remembered that his family members live in a rented apartment. He himself returns to the hostel in a past life. He hung all day. The main character approached his girlfriend. She stood with the phone in her hands. Joe sternly looked at her friend and invited him to stop communication. The protagonist looked at his girlfriend in dismay. He did not expect to hear such words from her. Yuan asked the girl displeasedly, would she really leave him after 3 years? The girl angrily asked his friend, did he really not know what feelings they had? The girlfriend turned around and went to the car. She said that the main character no longer called Tin. For her, all this sounded ridiculous. The girlfriend went to the door of the car and prepared to open it. In parting, she told a friend that it would be better for them to never see herself. The main character was very upset. He tried not to give out his emotions. The girl wanted to open the door and said that a friend would take her. The main character stopped his girlfriend and pressed his hand to the door of the car. Joe asked a friend with displeasure, what did he still need? Yuan demanded from the girl to return him a few donated designer bags. A girlfriend angrily told the guy that he gave her only a few ugly bags and now he wants to regain them. Yuan looked at the girl and said that he needed money. He invited the girl to realize their old desires. Joe looked strictly at her friend and said in response to fail, the driver from the car told the girl to get to him. He added that he could bring the protagonist. The protagonist noted to himself that the driver called a girl named Tin. He explained aloud that he did not need to be transported and he himself would be reached. The driver told the chief hero in a cunning voice that the blow to his girlfriend would be heavy for him. He wanted to make sure that Yuan get home whole. Yuan closed his eyes and thought that he could hit his partner once. He wanted to stand up for himself. The main character told the driver in the car that he was very close to go home. You do not need to worry about it. Yuan opened the door for a girlfriend. He told the guy that Joe is a good girl and he should take care of her. The driver slyly looked aside and told the partner that the girl would be in reliable hands. The main character smiled slyly and told the partner that men should give girls only the best. He told the driver the details and habits of Joe. The stranger was very angry because of the words of the protagonist and abruptly left the place. Yuan remained on the street. He shouted to the stranger that he did not hear the most interesting. The main character was completely alone on the city street. He thought to himself that his girlfriend could make the right choice. The guy looked up in the sun. He told himself that the girl's decision would lead her to an ideal life. The system told the guy that everyone should strive to live the way he deserves it. The protagonist was surprised to notice how the loading of the system of ideal life began in front of him. Yuan read detailed information to himself in the system. There was all the information about him. The guy decided that he had hallucinations on the verge of life and death. The system said that the loading of a system of ideal life is completed. The main character received a task. He needed to spend money on a person of a suitable age of the opposite sex. The girl should have a certain indicator of the proximity of Yuan could use only personal funds. The main character decided that he had hallucinations. At this time, someone called him back. The assistant named Li Xiao with excitement told the guy not to be upset due to parting. Li approached the guy on the side and wanted to cheer him up with the help of the phrase. Yuan looked at her with interest. The protagonist was surprised to notice how the indicator of her attention was displayed above the girl. Immediately, a message appeared from the system. The guy was surprised to realize that the numbers over the girl showed her intimacy. This means that the system was real. Lee smiled at her partner and said that all this is not the end of the world. The main character recognized the girl to the professor and said that he was all right. To himself, he joyfully thought that he had a real advantage. Lee told the guy that if he sends her documents, then she could help him with a scholarship. The main character explained to the girl that it is better to give the scholarship to someone who needs it more. Lee agreed with her partner and said that she would not insist. The girlfriend looked at the protagonist and said that he could contact her even with love questions. Lee told the main character goodbye, that she will always be here if he needs something. The guy thought and realized that the assistant fully corresponds to the loyalty program from the system. He could receive a fee for completing the task in full. Yuan extended his hand sharply and grabbed the girl to stop. The guy held the girl's hand and said that he wanted to treat her with milk tea. Lee scaredly began to refuse. The main character handed the girl a small jar of drink. She took him. Lee frightenedly held the drink in her hands. She thanked the protagonist. Yuan carefully looked at his phone at the personal account. He noticed that he had received money. The protagonist, with excitement, noted to himself that the level of sympathy of the girl remained above 60 levels. He could endlessly spend money on it and earn money on it. Yuan looked after the departing girlfriend. He realized that he would have a chance to pay with all the debts of the family. As a result, his family can become richer than ever. The main character joyfully thought to himself that he could become the same as before. The guy looked at the expense and realized that he had only 99 yuan. These were real pennies. The guy decided that he needed to secure a good earnings and find girlfriends to complete the tasks. The main character looked into the phone and calculated that he should have more than 49,000 yuan. Yuan cunningly turned and looked aside. He realized that he needed to act carefully in order to give the professor an expensive thing. An hour later, the guy bought an expensive gift and threw the packaging into the trash. The protagonist held in his hands an expensive bag from the spring collection. She cost 39,000 yuan. Yan went to the door and knocked. At the last moment, he remembered that he did not know if the professor had a guy. Lee opened the door and held a kitchen scoop in her hands. She was surprised to ask the guy what he was doing here. The main character asked the door, "What is she cooking?" Did she ask the guest displeasure? What did he need? Yuan handed the girl a bag and said that he wanted support from her. It was a sign of gratitude. Lee noted to herself that the bag looked very expensive. She told the main character that helping students is her work. The main character told the girl that the bag is a fake for 200 yuan. He asked her to accept this gift. The hostess picked up her bag and in a dissatisfied voice told the main character that she would pay him on his birthday. The protagonist felt a pleasant smell of food from the girl's apartment. The guy went into the apartment to his girlfriend. The girl ran aside and asked the guy on the go, "Did he eat?" Lee looked out of the kitchen and told the main character to stay for dinner. Yin thought to himself that until the professor had an objection, then everything should be in order. He had to support the loyalty system to start earning well. The guy took the phone in his hands and was surprised to notice that he had received money. The main character was very happy and introduced himself as if he was standing on a stone near the ocean. He earned 80,000 after the donated bag. It was a victory for him. The hostess put the dishes on the table. She invited the protagonist to dinner. Was he distracted from the phone and asked the girl, "But where is her boyfriend?" The girl looked at the guest displeasedly and said that she had no boyfriend. Lee asked the guest to help her with an apron. The main character sharply hit the table with his hand and asked the professor, "How to help her?" The guy went behind the frightened girl to help her with clothes. Yuan told the hostess that he would help her and fix everything. He took with his own hands for her apron. At this time, she entered the room in a red suit and with a suitcase Li Men's. She was the younger sister Li Xiao. The main character scaredly shouted the guest that he and Xiao did nothing like that. The hostess asked the girl, "Why did she come so late today?" Xiao went to her sister and introduced her for the protagonist. The main character waved to the girl on hand and greeted her, in a lesser voice. She said that she was not good. The guy abruptly ran to the exit of the apartment. He told the hostess that he had already had dinner at home and wants to return to the hostel. Xiao looked after the main character. She remembered that a minute ago he was ready to sit at the table. Aless in a displeased voice told her sister that her friend had very bad intentions. Xiao replied that the guy is just a student. Men turned to the side and said in a displeased voice that a normal student would not be added to the professor. The protagonist was walking the street. He realized that he could no longer spend money on anyone. Yin unexpectedly noticed how some passerby passed from his side and hooked him. The main character turned around and recognized the stranger. He scaredly asked Lao Huan, what happened to him? Lao scaredly told the main character that his girlfriend Fan went to the movie with the guy Zhanpin. The main character remembered that the fan was an excellent student from the second year. At the same time, his friend Lao never even talked with this girl. Lao looked at his friend with displeasure and asked why he was laughing at him. He specified whether Yuan knew what kind of girl he was talking about. Two students with drinks in their hands appeared on the street. Huan looked at them with great interest. Lao perked up. He looked at the girl and realized that he still has a chance. The protagonist looked cheerfully at a friend and realized that he had fallen in love and lost every feeling of dignity. Yin carefully looked at a beautiful student and noticed that she had an indicator of sympathy for 72. It was even more than Professor Li. The main character stood with his frightened friend. The girlfriend asked the student, "Did Min Hui that the girl had left the main character?" The student turned to the side displeasedly when she saw a familiar guy. Her girlfriend turned and looked displeased at the protagonist. A girlfriend reminded the student that she even bought drinks for the protagonist. The girl on the move said that rich guys do not understand anything. But the main character, even after the bankruptcy of the family, remained an upstart. Yuan carefully watched the girl departed from him. Her level of sympathy became smaller and less. The main character grabbed his friend by the shoulders and asked with excitement, would he be against if he begins to meet with Fan Minghuya? Lao looked at his friend and said thoughtfully that he did not object to his meetings with the girl. He just did not want the fan to be with Hanpin. The main character ran aside. He shouted to a friend on the move that he was glad that he said like that. Yuan ran up to the side of a surprised girl and greeted her. The student rushed to defend her girlfriend and strictly asked the guy, what does he want from her? The main character asked Ming if she has plans for tomorrow. He invited her to go and eat sushi. Ming was very surprised due to the fact that the main character invited her to dinner with him. The student asked the guy with excitement if he has money. She recalled that in the restaurant of land on a person it would be necessary to spend at least 1,000 yuan. Wen smiled at the girl and said that he would like to take a walk with her after dinner. He needs to choose a gift for his sister. The guy stepped aside. He waved his hand to the girl and said that they would talk tomorrow. Min told her girlfriend with a puzzled voice that she had just went to a movie with one guy, and tomorrow she would go to the restaurant with the main character. The student replied that there was nothing wrong with this and a good kitchen in the restaurant. The student told her girlfriend that the main character is arrogant and beautiful. His family can get rich again. The girlfriend said goodbye that Ming was not losing anything because of the usual walk and dinner. In the evening of the next day, the protagonist entered the restaurant with the girl. The waitress came up and brought an order for a guy and a girl. She put him on the table. Min's strength at a table near the protagonist. She said that his family was going through hard time, and he should not spend so much. A girlfriend was sitting near the table. The main character told the girl that everything is very tasty in this place. The guy carefully looked at the girl on the side. He carefully studied her pose. The girlfriend turned around and told the guy, did he really invite her to choose a gift to her sister? Yuan drank a drink from a cup. He told the girl that he wanted to invite her earlier for dinner, but there was no suitable moment. The protagonist carefully followed his girlfriend. He noticed how her level of sympathy began to fall. Yuan looked at the girl and realized that she was unhappy with his answer. The main character with a smile reminded the girl their last trip. She often bought something to him. Ming looked at the guy with surprise and asked that he really did not forget anything. She began to increase the level of sympathy. The main character looked at the girl on the side and said that he could not forget about it. She has increased sympathy. The guy turned to the side. He told himself that he should keep himself in his hands. The waiter brought an account for the protagonist and girl. After the discount, the guy had to pay 2,774 yuns. The client brought the phone to the terminal for payment. A surprised girl on the side looked at the guy in surprise. For her, 3,000 was the sum of her pocket money for a whole month. The main character carefully looked at the phone. He was returned to his account. The system told the owner new tasks. It was necessary to spend money on a person of a suitable age of the opposite sex. The guy turned around and looked at the girl. She has increased the level of sympathy. The protagonist thought joyfully that he had earned a couple of thousand yuan for dinner. Min looked at her companion with a smile and thought that she liked it more and more. The girlfriend grabbed the protagonist by the hand and shouted that they needed to go to the shopping center to choose a gift. The man appeared on the side with a girlfriend. He saw on the side of the protagonist and asked the companion, what did Yuan do here? Zhou looked at the protagonist displeasedly. She was surprised that after parting he was already walking with a new girl. The man was very unhappy, surprised due to the fact that a poor student can spend money in what place. The man remembered that he needed to earn and buy a lot of things to attract the attention of the girl. The main character turned around and invited his girlfriend to talk about something else. The stranger cunningly invited the main character to walk together around the shopping center and look at the window. Joe asked his ex-friend in displeasure. What did he forget here and what kind of girl next to him? The main character told the partners that he came with the girl for a gift for his sister. The man cunningly advised the guy to go to the market and choose a toy there. In this place, he is not enough for himself what he can afford. Joe went to a student with a leisurely step to say something to her. Joe looked with a strict look at the girl and said that the main character could fool her. The main character came up and asked displeasedly, was he really fooling her? The man reminded the main character that Joe was his former girl. He explained to the guy that no one was laughing at his family poverty. The main character looked at the girl with a man displeasedly and thought that they were really standing each other. The system reminded the owner a new task. The guy had to spend money on a girl with a level of sympathy above 60. As a result, other people should increase the level of negative emotions. The main character thought that he would not give up the task of the system. Yuan led his girlfriend aside by the hand. He invited his partners to go and take a walk. Two saleswomen behind the counter recognized the protagonist. They could not decide who would serve him. The worker looked at the saleswoman displeasedly and demanded that she go up to the guy soon. Joe held an expensive handbag in her hands. She asked the guy, "Can he buy it?" The saleswoman prepared to step aside and said with a smile to the boss that she of course would go to the guy. The workers from all sides approached the client and began to offer her various things. One of the sales writers opened the box and offered for the client to buy 2 beautiful bears. Each of them cost 100,000 yuan. The main character turned around and told her girlfriend that she would not worry about him and money. She could choose her purchases. Ming showed aside the hand for things said that his sister would like her. The saleswoman calculated and informed the clients that the total amount for them will be 50,000 yuan. The man was very surprised due to the fact that his girlfriend chose a set for 100,000 for himself. The girlfriend went to the man and demanded that he pay. She recalled that the main character followed them. The stranger thought with displeasure that he did not have much money on the card. Yuan went to the saleswoman and said that he would take 2 bags and accessories. Joe, along with a man, were very unpleasantly surprised when they realized that the main character could spend a lot of money. Ming looked at her friend in surprise. She could not understand where he got the money. The saleswoman, dissatisfied, could not believe that the guy was ready to buy accessories. She did not understand where the client got the money. The saleswoman told the client that he should pay for everything 131,000 yuan. The guy remembered that he had the same amount remained on the map after dinner. The main character handed the salesman a card and said that he would pay everything now. The surprised saleswoman took the card in her hands and said with excitement to the client that she would prepare everything now. Joe asked the protagonist displeasedly, "Where did he get the money from?" The man asked the guy, "Did he really take a loan?" The protagonist angrily answered the stranger that he may think everything he wants. He asked the man why he didn't buy a bag for 20,000 for his girlfriend. The man listened to the protagonist displeasedly. The guy told him that the man should be generous. The girlfriend turned around and demanded that the man does not allow the main character to say so. The client remembered that he bought his car on credit and could not tell the girl about it. The man grabbed the phone and shouted to the girl that he should answer the call. The dissatisfied girlfriend asked Hu Jung, "What can he do so?" Huo stepped aside and talked with a partner about an expensive project. Zhou told herself that the main character could take care of himself. The main character looked at the girl on the side and saw that the negative had declined. The guy decided to himself that he had completed the task. The protagonist handed out a package of purchases to the girl. Min answered the guy that all this would be very expensive for her. The main character told the girl that purchases for her will be as an apology. She had to listen to a lot of unpleasant conversations. The companion took the bag and thanked the guy. Wen handed his companion several more packages with goods. Ming asked the guy with surprise, what would he give his sister? The protagonist said to the girl with a smile that she would definitely like the gift. To himself, the guy thought that if he gave such an expensive gift to his sister, then she would scold him for a waste of money. Yuan stood next to his girlfriend. He decided that she might think as if he was a very greedy person. The girl held bags in her hands. She repeated to the guy that she could not take such purchases. The main character held out 2 hands forward and grabbed a girlfriend with them. The main character smiled at the girl and asked her to take a gift so as not to offend him. Yuan stood next to his girlfriend. The system congratulated the owner for completing the most difficult task. He received additional points and raised the amount spent. The main character looked at the girl Ming and realized that he should take care of her and should not allow her level of sympathy to fall. Yan looked at the girl and invited her to return home. The guy thought to himself that he should not force his girlfriend. Ming looked slyly at the protagonist and thought that he was not like other guys. He did not even offer her to go to the hotel. A group of students went down the stairs. One guy told friends that the main character was different from Lee Janpin. He did not even invite the girl to the hotel. Students amused. One guy told a friend that he should treat them all with dinner in an expensive restaurant. Yuan walked in front and listened carefully. The guy went to the door of his student room. He listened to how other students talked about plans to arrange a party. The guy in a chair shouted displeasedly with his head hero, or something boasts for everyone due to the fact that he watched the film with his girlfriend Ming. The protagonist put his hand on his shoulder to a neighbor and said that the days of fame were already numbered. He will no longer meet with mines. The student turned around and displeasedly told the chief hero, or, along with Min, went to the cinema yesterday. No one knows what exactly was between them. The student told the main character that the girl had not yet agreed to go on a date today. This means that she is with Lee. The main character took the phone and checked the balance. He had a round amount in the account. The guy decided to go home. Uncle Shen sat in a chair. He joyfully greeted the protagonist at home. The main character went into the room and greeted his uncle. There were still people around the table. The young guy was sitting in a chair and asked his uncle to wait with payment. The main character stood near the door and listened carefully to the conversation. The owner on the couch looked displeased at the guy and said that he needed a full payment to cover all his expenses. The woman viciously reminded the owner that he was given money when he wanted to open a car wash. They gave him 300,000 yuan, now Shen 200,000 returned at a time. The guy told the woman that a man may have his own difficulties. She said in a dissatisfied voice that Shenya's wife said that they now have nothing urgent, for which they need to pay. The man viciously explained to his partners that to repay debts is natural. He reminded the guests that they are his relatives. The woman viciously pointed to the man with her finger and said that the Shen family is ungrateful. The guy told the woman that she should sell her gold jewelry. When they have money, they will be able to buy new jewelry. She answered displeasedly that they needed to deal with debts now. The system told the main character that he should pay with family debts. Yuan thought to himself that the task appeared very helpful. The guy joyfully thought to himself that he would help a family with debts even without a task. The woman brought the guy a box of jewelry. She said they were worth several thousand. They could be handed over. The woman said that 2 gold rings were lost due to the move. The protagonist remembered that during his studies at college, he took his mother's ring. Yan sharply went into the room and told his parents that he had money. A man with glasses in displeasure told his son that now is not the time for jokes. The main character in a calm voice explained to his parents that he really has money. He wanted to show them a translation. The man and the woman were very surprised when they saw 200,000 yuan on the guy on the phone by the guy. Father asked his son, where did he get this money? The main character told his parents that he invested money in cryptocurrency. Recently, he cashed them. A woman with a box in her hands told her son that he had helped them out. The man told his wife that they should first pay off the debt and get rid of this problem. A man with a telephone in his hand told his uncle who would pay him a debt. The woman was unhappy, demanded that the Shen leave them as soon as possible. Uncle held the phone in his hand and looked displeased at the daughter. In-law with distrust. The hostess glanced angrily at the man and said that he would run away as soon as possible. Uncle Shen jumped very sharply and ran out of the house through the door to the street. Shen could not understand how his brother was able to make a debt of several million so quickly. He thought displeased that the related family again opened a new business with good profit and would flourish. The man stood on the street and thought with displeasure that he did not need to come. The system told the owner that he completed the task of paying the debt. The protagonist looked on the remainder on the phone. His earnings exceeded 1 million. Yuan thoughtfully considered to himself that for the complete repayment of the duty, it was still very far away. The protagonist thought that all his money would not be enough for his father to pay for the debt. He could use money to earn even more. He gave his parents 200,000. The main character told his parents that he could give them 200,000 from the account. Mother with excitement told the guy that the rest of the money can be left alone. The husband told the woman to wait. The man asked the protagonist to give him 50,000 yuan. Yuan glanced joyfully at his father and told him fun that he would recognize him. The main character remembered to himself that his father was behaving just like he behaved when he asked for money. The guy went down the stairs and noticed that Lee teacher had risen to him. Lee in a sports suit told the main character that today there was no classes after dinner. The guy told the girl that he wants to invite her to dinner. He wants to thank her for her past invitation. The girl suddenly noticed how someone came up behind her and flashed her eyes. The protagonist in fright remarked how Mei came up to him. The girl was very displeased. The protagonist thought displeasedly that the professor's sister was a sworn enemy for him. Two sisters stood silently nearby. The protagonist thought that he should not be contacted with a little. The guy ran aside. He shouted to the professor that he had business in college. He invited her to postpone dinner and said goodbye. Aless, in a dissatisfied voice, reminded her sister that she already told her that the protagonist had bad intentions. Lee calmly replied that the guy invited her to a regular dinner. The main character walked along the street and felt that he was suffering from the heat. Yuan remembered his trips in a car with a girlfriend with air conditioning. Even the memories of this very relaxed him. The guy looked at the phone and decided to use the stitch to buy a car. He wanted to use the gift from the system. He wrote a message to the girl and invited her to take a walk in the evening. Ming agreed with him. Min chose clothes for myself. A girlfriend came up behind her and cunningly told the girl that she was not going to return to the hostel today with the guy today. Ming turned around and excitedly explained that she and the guy have not yet met. The girl slyly hugged the student from behind and said that Ming found herself a rich and skilled guy. Ming felt very frightened and constrained. She shouted to her girlfriend that she was hurt. An hour later, the main character was with a girl in a car dealership. The seller greeted the guests and asked what model of the car interests them. The manager saw a familiar girl and with excitement asked what she was doing here. Ming, displeased and surprised, turned around when I saw Sina nearby. The girl remembered that this guy ran after her in high school. Shin went to his former girlfriend and asked what kind of guy stands next to her. Yuan turned around and explained to the seller that he was a girl's classmate. The seller turned around and asked the guests what model of the car interests them. Yuan answered him that he would look at the model of the car number 9. Chia told customers that they could even sit inside the car and try it out. To himself, the seller thought displeasedly that the protagonist had no money. The seller looked at the girl on the side. He dreamily noted to himself that she was very beautiful. Chin imagined how he would have an expensive car and a bunch of beautiful girlfriends. The guy went to the girl and invited her to see and chat in the evening. Min modestly answered her partner that she already had plans for the evening. Yuan got into the car and asked the seller, "Is it possible to organize a test drive?" Chin was unhappy due to the fact that the client wanted to ride in a car. He decided that the guy still could not buy a car. He told the guy out loud that the boss took the test car. Yan looked at the seller with a displeasure. He did not like that he refused to make a test drive. The main character approached the administrator in the store and said that he needed another seller and he wants to conduct a test drive. The worker looked with attention at the protagonist and greeted him. The girl said her name is Shay. She asked the guests, "How can she help them?" The main character was surprised when he saw an employee. He did not have time to even say anything to her. The boss asked the employee, why did he give his client to the girl of Chin? Chin responded to his partner that he did not want to spend his time on a student who wants to test the car of M9. The boss told the guy that the client could really buy an expensive car. Chin explained to the leader that an ordinary poor guy brought a beautiful girl here just to show off in front of her. Chen sat inside the car with the main character. She told him about the function of smart driving. The main character briefly looked at the employee. He appreciated her appearance and figure. Yuan, very realistic in fantasy, presented himself together with Chen in an embrace. The employee asked the client, what will be his approximate budget? Yuan answered the girl that he would like to pick up one car today. The girl was surprised due to the fact that the client wanted to buy a car after a single test drive. She could not understand why Qin Yang refused the deal. The employee told the main character that they did not have free units of such a model, but they can assign another car here in a week. Yuan replied that they would make an order today. Chen looked at the guy in surprise. She was amazed due to the fact that he bought a car for 600,000 yuan. She told the client out loud that the first contribution is 500,000 yuan. She promised to bring a contract. Qin looked at the walking colleague and asked what her client decided there. Chen drawn up documents. She told a colleague that the main character buys a car. Qin jumped up and said that the main character after the first contribution would apologize and disappear. Another employee said that he had no experience in car dealerships and simpler buyers for a long time. Chen sat in a chair near the table. She told her colleagues that the client wants to pay in cash immediately. The workers were very angry due to the fact that they lost such a good and profitable deal. The girl bowed to the main character and asked if she needed to let him down. Ming took the protagonist under her arms and answered the employee that they would take a taxi. Chen thought displeasedly to herself that she was distracted and angered a client of the client. She told the main character out loud that she would not accompany them. Yuan held the phone in his hand. He immediately invited his girlfriend to leave. The main character turned around and asked the girl, "Why is she upset?" Yuan looked at his girlfriend and said that he had a relationship with the saleswoman, exclusively business. Ming displeased his friend that he had been sitting in a car with an employee for a long time and chatted. The main character told a girlfriend that he had a common habit. He thinks about something when he communicates with someone. Ming strictly asked the guy so that the next time he would not do this anymore. The girl thought displeasedly that she was still not meeting the main character. But he feels an injection of jealousy. She decided to lock the guy. Yuan offered a girlfriend to eat first, and then go to the shopping center for a gift. Ming turned around and reminded her companion that last night he bought 2 bags for her. The main character explained to the girl that she could have several different bags for every day of the week. Yen remembered to himself that the costs of girls pay off in a triple size. As a result, he will earn more and more. The main character in the restaurant handed the girl the menu. He asked what she wants to drink. Min was frightened due to the fact that the guy asked her about the drink. She replied that she wants to drink cold. The protagonist noticed that the girl's expression changed. He decided that he needed to make the situation even more tense. Yan walked along the street with a girlfriend. He bought her various things. Min turned around and silently looked at the protagonist. She calculated that the guy spent 140,000 on her in 2 days. The protagonist carefully looked at the phone and studied the coming to his account. Juan realized that he still had 1,600,000. He turned around and told the girl that she could not return to the hostel today. Min thought and fell silent. She did not answer the main character. The main character came to his home with a girlfriend. He was in the Seoul. Min corresponded with a girlfriend on the phone and lay on the bed. The main character with a towel approached the girl and asked if she was ready. Min looked at him in surprise. The girl was lying and silently looked at her friend. She in her mind asked for forgiveness from her friend Lin Lin. The main character hugged a girlfriend. Ming told him that she had not yet gone to the shower. The guy calmly answered her that he liked her smell. The main character hugged a girlfriend. Ming was intrigued and named it by name. Wen touched his girlfriend and said that he liked it everywhere. Ming grabbed the guy with her hands and said that he was gentle. Min closed her eyes. She passionately hugged the main character, kissed. Yuan silently lay next to the girl on the bed. Ming thought to myself that all this is not so scary. The main character opened his eyes and thought that his girlfriend was very good. He felt himself very exhausted. The girl put her hand on the protagonist and invited him to do this again. Yuan slyly looked at his girlfriend and invited her to rest a little. Ming looked at her friend slyly and said that she wanted now. The next morning, the main character was in the hostel. He stood near the table and looked at the phone. The guy thought to himself that he needed to pay off his debts. The guy looked in surprise at the phone and realized that he still had a debt to Lee Johan. He took money from him after the bankruptcy of his family. The student viciously asked the protagonist, where was he wandering last night? He informed him that tonight they will have a party to the faculty. The student held the phone in his hands. He told a friend that the guy bought a car and asked to organize a party. If he goes to the banquet, then only for the sake of a personal show. The main character turned around and explained to his partner that he would not go to the banquet. On the phone, he received a message about dinner tonight. The system told the client a new task for him. He must be admired by the opposite sex and build a good basis for business. Yuan joyfully thought to himself that he could invest money in Bar Lee Yukon and could have fun. Yen sat near the table with the phone. He wrote to the student that he would come today to have fun with them. Li Guanyo sat on the couch with his girlfriend. He told Li Xiao to be displeased that he was starving and asked who they were waiting for. She told friends that all the main brother had to gather. A student named Zhao joyfully said that important people are never late. On the side, whether the wine in the hands came up with a glass, he told friends that fruits and snacks are standing on the table. The main character soon had to be in place. The guest explained to a friend that the main character was bankrupt, and he did not need to be invited. Li explained to a friend that he himself was paying for today's account, and he should not worry. He called the protagonist his friend for life. The student said that they would wait if Li Xiao said so. The girl told a friend in a dissatisfied voice that he did not agree to be her, but still continues to hug her nearby. The guy asked his friend, where is his girlfriend? Sine explained to his friends that his girlfriend was stuck in the subway. She promised to arrive in 10 minutes. Li thought to himself, displeased that the family of his relatives always depended on his family. The main character without him could not even attend this meeting. The student could not understand where the protagonist had such a gorgeous girl from. Yan went into the room and greeted his friends. He apologized for being late. The student asked his friend, why was he late? The protagonist explained to his partner that he was delayed due to traffic jams on the road. The taxi driver decided to go around the loaded areas. Lee advised a friend to complain about the driver. The student viciously thought to himself that the main character had come by taxi. He told the guest aloud that everyone came here on personal cars. The girl arrived. She went into the room and apologized for being late. C waved a girlfriend Chen on and joyfully greeted her. He was surprised to notice that in front of him was Mr. Shen, who bought a car yesterday. The guest looked at the protagonist from the side and noticed that he had not even greeted her. She decided to pretend that they were not familiar. The girl sharply walked past the table and held out her hand to the guy. Lee raised a glass of drink in his hands. He asked his friends if any of them wants to invest and develop a business together. He explained that the rest of the investment will be about 700,000 yuan. The guy shyly asked the guests what they think about this. People near the table fell silent. One of the guests with a glass in his hand thought that the family was earned tens of millions. It is unlikely that a guy would need 700,000. It could be that past businesses burned out. Zhao silently thought to himself that he did not come here to invest, Say thought, and calculated that he would need 2 years to accumulate 700,000. The guests all sat silently near the table. One of them thought that the one who speaks was the first to be a fool. Lee stood silently and looked at his friends. He always paid for accounts for them. Friends also borrowed money from him. Now, no one wanted to help in the financially chief hero. Lee held a glass in his hand. He asked his partners why no one says anything from them. One of the guys said that now there is no need for investments. They can quarrel and invest several thousand in a bar. Whether they will return the money after it earned, C told his friend that if they conduct business in half, then it will be dishonest. Whether it will only earn and not lose anything. Zhao silently and displeasedly thought that his friend wanted to beg money to the wind. One of the guests thoughtfully thought that Lee could borrow the money and not to drag them all into it. Lee was very disappointed. He realized that he could not cooperate and conduct business with friends. He clearly told them about investment and doing business together. The guy put the glass on the table. He told friends that if no one is interested in his proposal, they could not forget about it. The guest joyfully raised his glass in front of him and told friends that it makes no sense to talk about investments. He suggested that they just drink and have fun. The main character remembered the faces of friends. When his family went bankrupt, his acquaintances turned out to be ordinary parasites that spent the money of his parents. Lee Goodbye told friends that he was leaving, and they could have fun. The main character told his friend that he could invest 700,000. Lee stopped abruptly and looked at his friend. The rest of the guests fell silent. One of the guests shouted displeasedly to the chief hero that they knew him from more than the first day. Zhao put his hand on the shoulder of the protagonist and said that he would leave and cool his head. Li Xiao will not listen to his stupidity. CC turned out and told the main character that he was older than him and he had more experience. He advised Yuan to do things only by his capabilities. One of the guests slyly smiled at the main character and said that he could pay him a taxi travel. Chen sat on the couch herself. She remembered that the protagonist bought a car for 600,000 yuan yesterday. He could invest money in a friend's business. The girl thought she wanted to help the main character. She decided that it would be strange to just intervene and protect him. Yuan pressed several buttons on the phone and told a friend that he had already transferred him money. Li was very amazed. He looked with great attention into his phone. Li handed his acquaintance the phone and showed him. The guest asked his friend, "But what happened?" The student was surprised to look at the phone. He could not understand why there were many zeros translated from the protagonist. He calculated and became convinced that there was really 700,000. Chen looked in surprise to the side. She noted that in a second everything around her changed a lot. The student abruptly jumped to his feet. He excitedly asked his friend, what did he see on the phone? The guest in a bewildered voice answered his partner that he had urgent affairs at his house and he was leaving. Be, standing on his feet, asked a friend, what happened? The partner answered the guy that he also had to go home. He is looking for an uncle and aunt. C did not understand the words of his friend. He said in bewilderment that his relatives did not even call him. The guy angrily stopped and looked at the protagonist. He did not understand why Yuan with a lot of money went by taxi. Zhao went to his friend and said that he wants to look into his phone. Suddenly Zhao ran to the door and opened it. He shouted to his friends that he had business and he needs to leave. All the guests began to quickly get out of the table and prepared to diverge. C sat next to the girl. He did not understand why everyone left. Chen answered her companion that it was time for them to leave. The man ran after the girl. He told her viciously that she did not even see what was written in translation. Chen explained to his partner that the protagonist bought a car from her yesterday. He paid in cash. C was very surprised. He shouted to the girl that she was joking. A girlfriend took his hand and said that she has a copy of the contract with a guy on her phone. The man looked at the girl in dismay. He told her that she could immediately tell everyone that the guy was rich. Chen displeasedly stepped aside. She shouted goodbye to the man that she had realized today what kind of person he was. She no longer wanted to see him. A friend ran to the side of the main character and said that if he knew how rich he was, he would not organize a party. Yuan poured himself a drink into a glass. He explained that his friends should not be trusted. The main character asked his friend to tell him about the bar. Li put his hand on his partner's shoulder and said that he would tell him about the plan now. The main character, along with his friend, discussed the arrangement of the bar and internal work. Li praised his partner for his skill and vision of business. Yuan reached tiredly and told a friend that they needed to hire a manager. An hour later, the girl rode off on the phone with the main character. Yuan offered to meet tomorrow evening. He wanted to discuss cars. Chen looked at correspondence and did not understand what was happening. Yuan looked into the phone and thought that he had only mines as a cash tree. As a result, cashback was limited to him. He decided to use the program to the maximum. The guy decided to try to spend money on Chen. The next day in the evening, the girl sat in a cafe herself. She was waiting for the protagonist. Chen thought displeasedly to himself that the guy had not arrived yet. She decided that she came very early. A man entered the restaurant. He could not understand why the girl was sitting there in a working uniform. He was delighted that he now had the best moment to approach her. The general manager of the salon, named Lenny Xianyun, told his subordinates to leave and eat somewhere. He had business. The workers went to the next room. They discussed, and they were wondering if laziness could get to know Chung. The employee told his colleague that no girl would have come here to dine alone. The employee told his friend that Chen had to specially come here so that the manager could see her. Sa heard a conversation and was surprised due to the fact that the girl Chen had a meeting in this place. The man went to the girl's table and asked her to sit down. The employee answered the boss that she had already in this place. Laziness was dissatisfied with the behavior of the girl. He invited her to eat the three of them aloud. Chen, in a displeased voice, reminded the man that he already had a family. She asked him to keep the distance. Laziness sat down to the girl. He told her with a smile that the family is not a problem and you can decide on a divorce. C was very angry and ran around the hall. He did not like that the girl Chen left him because of another man. He remembered that he earned 500,000 yen every year. He had a car for 300,000. The man carefully ran to the glass and followed the girl. She sat at the table next to the boss. C ran inside and viciously pointed a finger at a man with a girl. He shouted that they had twisted the novel behind him. Chen asked his colleague displeasedly what he was talking about. Laziness strictly asked the employee who was one. He got angry and hit his head with all his might. He asked him in evil voice, "Who is one?" Laziness grabbed the offender with his hand by the clothes. He asked him angry, where did he get out with his fists? There was a frightened waitress in the room. The protagonist looked at the fight between men in surprise. He could not understand where C came from. The main character through the glass looked at the fight in a restaurant. He realized that instead of a fat man, he could be himself. Yuan went to the girl and grabbed her hand. He wanted to take her away. The main character took the girl's hand and offered to leave this place as soon as possible. Sheen was driving behind the wheel in the car. She told the main character that she had met with the only DVN of the week and then left him. The guy answered the girl that now she should have no problems. Chen displeasedly told the main character that her boss had hit her restaurant. She now does not know what to expect from the boss. Yuan invited her to change her job. The girl told the main character that now it is very difficult to find a new job. If she moves to a new car dealership, she will lose her client base. Chen looked through the car window at the large shopping center. The girl told the main character that work with sales is very tiring. To open a cafe, she will need from 300 to 400,000 yuan. She will not be able to accumulate such an amount. The main character turned around and told his girlfriend that he was offering her an investment. He remembered to himself that he still had 300,000 on the remainder. The girl held out her hand to the main character and said in a confident voice that she would work for the investor. Yuan turned around and assured that he would invest 300,000 in the opening of her cafe. She will work for him. The girl extended her hand and wanted to knock the guy on the leg. The driver has increased sympathy. She was surprised to ask the protagonist. What did he tell her? Yuan thought rather to himself that he would not get any sympathy from his girlfriend. But she will be a successful money tree for him? The girl looked at the protagonist with disbelief and asked, "Did he really say all this seriously?" Yuan explained that he was completely serious. He asked if she wanted to work for him. He promised her to pay 12,000 yuan every month. In the future, the guy said that he gave the girl a car for 200,000. Chen looked at the guy with distrust. She could not believe him that in 3 months she would receive a new car. There will also be an annual salary of 300,000. The girl decided that the main character wants to sharpen her in a gold cage. He will leave her with him. Chen turned around and told the guy that he should not do all this for her. To herself, she decided that she would be a rival for a girlfriend of the protagonist. Yuan calmly explained that he was just planning to open a cafe. He promised that the relationship between them would be exclusively business. The girl behind the wheel thoughtfully promised her friend what she would think. The main character noticed how a message came to his phone. The girl invited him to take a walk. The main character drove up to the hotel and went up to the number where his girlfriend was. Min ran up to the guy and hugged him. She said she was very missing. The main character answered the girlfriend that he also missed. The girlfriend suspiciously asked the protagonist, "Why does he smell like female spirits?" The guy sniffed himself scared. He remembered that he had just rode in a car next to Chen. The girlfriend shoved the guy in displeasure and shouted that he had met someone behind her. The main character promised the girl that she was the only one. He said that he was in the car dealership today about the car. There he hooked the smell of female spirits. Ming looked at her friend displeasedly and demanded that he keep a distance with various consultants in the cabin. The main character thought joyfully about you that he should spend as much money as possible on girls. He will receive money back, so he does not need to limit himself to one money tree. The girlfriend told the main character that she would go to the shower first. Yuan stood behind her. The main character hugged the girl from behind. She told him that she needed to move away. Ming threw out outerwear. The main character told her in a cunning voice that he liked the natural smell. Min was sitting on the bed. She looked at the guy and said that she also liked his smell. The guy hugged his girlfriend and lay on top of the bed. He told her that she would excite him. The main character pressed his girlfriend. She whispered to him that she likes him. After a couple of hours, the main character prepared to leave the room. He felt exhausted. Min was still lying on the bed. The girl sharply jumped up to 90 units. Yuan turned around and looked at her with attention. The system told the owner that he completed the task of increasing sympathy. The guy received various awards. The main character joyfully realized that with a ticket to 1,000,000 yuan, he could earn even more money. The main character stopped in the room and looked in front of him. He thought that now he would keep the girl under control. Yuan stood near the system window and carefully studied new skills. The main character glanced joyfully at his body. He felt a surge of energy. He liked new awards and increasing the level of sympathy and intimacy. Yuan thought and realized that the system gave him a reward depending on what he needed. The guy remembered that a girlfriend Chen with her long legs was also able to overcome a mark of sympathy of 60 units. He decided to move further step by step. Yuan has decided to currently check the new skill from the system. The main character approached his girlfriend on the bed. Ming asked a friend, "Really didn't want to go into the shower now?" Wen slyly looked at his girlfriend and said that he had changed his mind. He grabbed her hand. The main character told the girl to turn. He took her with 2 hands. Ming in dismay asked a friend, "Why now everything has felt differently?" Chen lay on the bed and called her girlfriend Qian. She said that she was offered investments in 300,000 yuan, and then a car for 200,000. Qian answered on the phone so that she would not tell her about scammers. Chen told a girlfriend that she saw a guy several times, and the last time he bought a car from them. The girlfriend answered the girl on the phone that in their salon buyers are most often of middle age. Chen explained that the guy is only 21 years old. Chen sat on the bed and painted her nails. She asked her friend with interests if her client is beautiful. The employee on the phone said that the guy is beautiful. Chen told a girlfriend on the phone that a young, beautiful, and rich guy is a dream. Chen went to the window. She told her girlfriend that the guy is 5 years younger than her. She told the girl that the guy's age is not a problem. Sheen thoughtfully reported on the phone that the protagonist had a girlfriend. A girlfriend replied that Chen could easily take the guy from his girlfriend. Chen very viciously and displeasedly asked her girlfriend, what did she talk about? Qian cheerfully answered the girl that she could pass on her rich guy for her. Chen reported that her boyfriend returned, and they would talk later. The girl stood near the window and looked at him. She saw there the image of the protagonist. The girlfriend lay on the bed next to the main character. She told him that this time he was different. Yuan asked the girl. Was he stronger? Ming looked scared at the guy and did not know what to answer. She held out her hands with a blanket. The main character hugged a girlfriend. He told her that they could try again. The girl jumped up with surprise, asked her friend if there was strength to him. The main character looked at her girlfriend and cunningly offered her to take the initiative in her hands. He reminded her that she went to dancing. Ming looked scared at her friend and replied that she did not know what and how. The main character smiled slyly and said that ignorance is not an excuse. He explained that she would learn everything in practice and hugged her. Yen hugged and kissed his girlfriend. She said quietly to herself that the guy is incredible. Ming sat on the bed with the main character. She felt a desire. The main character himself lay on a big bed in the morning. He decided not to get up a little to sleep. The guy jumped sharply and grabbed the phone. He reminded himself that he needed to check the lottery ticket from the system. Yen carefully looked at the lottery ticket and compared the numbers with telephone. The main character was very delighted. He told himself that he won a jackpot of 6 million. Yuan immediately decided to please his family. Yuan joyfully ran home. He shouted to his mother that he had come. The woman went into the room and told the guy not to make no noise. He could scare the neighbors. Yuan demanded from her mother to call her father. He wanted to tell him something important to everyone. The father asked the protagonist displeasedly. What did he want to tell him important? The joyful protagonist showed his parents a lottery ticket and said that he won 6 million. Mother incredulously asked the guy how much a difficult program was in his college. Father advised his son to concentrate on studying. He himself was ready to cope with family debts. Yuan held a lottery ticket in his hands. He told his father to think well before saying this. The man looked fearfully at the winning numbers of the lottery and shouted to his wife that they had a jackpot. The woman was very amazed. The man cried joyfully and scared that they really had more than 6 million. The protagonist informed his parents that after deducting taxes, they would receive 5 million. They will be able to pay off debts and live better than the same. The delighted woman told the guy that today they would go and celebrate jackpot in the restaurant. The main character answered his mother that he wants to open his own business in order to gain experience. Father told the guy that it would not be so easy to start a business. He invited his son to save some money for future expenses. The main character told his parents that he would only take 1 million, and they would take the rest for himself. Father was sitting on the couch. He answered his son that everything was decided. Mother told the guy that they would support him. Director Laziness was sitting in an armchair. He told the girl a displeased voice that he was beaten by her boyfriend. Chen answered the boss that she had long broke all the relationship with C. Laziness told the subordinate that she was guilty that her friend beat him for no reason. The man thought to himself that he should arrange a girl to himself. Chen answered the boss in displeasure that the fight was numb to her. Laziness angrily looked at the subordinate and said that he was withdrawing her for a month from sales. He accused the girl of having left her post yesterday and left buyers in the hall unattended. Chen, in a frightened voice, explained to the boss that she had eaten yesterday. Lent angrily laughed and told the girl that he was the main thing and he would decide everything. Chen looked angry at the boss. The man thought slyly and realized that a girl without commission from customers would live 1,200 yen a month. This money is not enough for her even to rent. The girl viciously told the boss that she was ready to even quit. The man from behind shouted to the girl to think before she left. The girl went to the exit from the office. She thought that the main character behaves with dignity, unlike the rest. She decided that working for a guy would be a good opportunity. Chen in goodbye told the boss in a strict voice that she was leaving. The main character walked along the street and corresponded with the girl. Chen wrote to him that she was ready to quit. The guy thought joyfully that he no longer needed to look for another way to invest the remaining 300,000 from the investment system. The protagonist opened the door and went into the apartment to the teacher, Lee. The girl unloaded large boxes. She explained to the guy that she was moving to another office. She herself cannot cope. She turned to the worker, but he was on vacation. The protagonist pointed his hand to the closet and told the girl that he still had no classes in the morning. Therefore, he is completely free. He asked the girl, "Should I transfer all this?" Lee, with a smile, explained to the guy that there is still a table and a whole closet next to her. This is very difficult for her. The girl went to the closet. She told the guy that to start the book needs to be moved away so that they would not fall out when carrying. The girl tensed out of all her might to get her hand to the upper shelves. The main character approached the girl nearby and held out his hand to the upper shelf with books. Yen stood next to the professor and told her that he would help her. The main character was next to the girl. She felt him from behind and was very embarrassed. Lee scaredly thought to herself that now she and the guy are much closer than the last time. She decided that Yuan was feeling for her. The The girl turned and shyly asked the guy, "Did he finish?" Yuan stretches forward and picked up a book. He told the girl that he had already finished. Several students ran into the office. They shouted to the professor that they wanted to help her. Students looked at the girl in dismay. They could not understand why she had such a red face. One told students that they needed to transfer all things to a neighboring office. The guys came up and said that they would do everything. Lee thought about herself, displeased that it was very good that the students were late. She would be embarrassed if they saw her with the main character. She thought to herself that Yuan was becoming more and more bold. The girl turned and looked at the guy, and did not understand why all this was excited. She reminded herself that Yuan is her student. The protagonist was surprised to notice that the level of sympathy of the professor jumped up to 71. He decided that the girl had awakened her feelings. Yuan thought and decided to himself that he could more often visit the professor in this place in order to strengthen their connection. On Saturday, a guy with girls was sitting near the front door in the restaurant. A girlfriend said joyfully to the guy that he bought a car for 280,000 yuan cash. Another student joyfully told the guy that he had not yet received a diploma, but can already introduce it. The student was delighted. He thought that many girls were standing in line for him. He said aloud that some people do not care about the degree of bachelor. The girlfriend was surprised that the guy was all the same. She did not understand what family he was from. "Whether I drank a drink," he looked aside and saw some girl there. He carefully examined her. The student examined the girl nearby, and she seemed very beautiful to him. He was ready to give 10 years of his life for such beauty. Girls from the restaurant looked at the car on the street with interest. Someone said that the car may be self-government. Lee told his girlfriends that in front of them on the street, there is a car of the leading model M9. The main character went to the car and prepared to get into it inside. The girl from the restaurant's balcony shouted in surprise that she sees a Yuan in front of her. Lee looked down and with excitement thought that the car could not belong to the main character. His family was bankrupt. Chen at the table waved her hand to the main character and said that she was waiting for him there. Yuan waved his hand back to her. Lee watched all this side. The student was very unpleasantly amazed when she realized that the beautiful girl was waiting for the protagonist. Chen informed the guy that the owner of the cafe would be here from a minute. She asked him how he liked the management of the new car. Yuan picked up a glass with a drink. He told the girl that the car seemed good for him. The girlfriend quietly told the guy that the group's group behaved strangely. Lee thought displeasedly that Yuan had just parted with his girlfriend, but he had already met the beauty outside the school. The owner of the cafe approached the table with the guy and laid her hand on the table. The owner of a cafe named Lin greeted the girl. She explained that she lingered as she took her son. Lin held out her hand to the main character and said that he looks very young. Yuan offered to sit down and talk. The owner of an honest voice told partners that things in the cafe are not going very well. The institution is located next to the college, and therefore there is an influx of customers. She was ready to sell a cafe for 300,000 yuan. The guy remembered that he had to leave 50,000 yuan for a girl's salary. He told the owner aloud that he was ready to pay 250,000. Lin decided to agree to the terms of the buyer. She invited the guy today to draw up a contract of sale. Yuan told the owner that he would transfer money to her today after they signed the contract. Lin asked the waitress Xiao Tzu to show the new owner how everything was arranged in a cafe. Tzu came up and bowed to the main character. She greeted him politely. The main character demanded from the waitress to show all the work for his girlfriend. Chen will engage in business management. The girls at the table were talking. One of them was very surprised due to the fact that the main character in a couple of minutes made a deal in the amount of 250,000 yuan. The student said with admiration that the guy came here to meet with a beautiful girlfriend. Lee sat at the table and felt very dissatisfied. He watched the main character from the side. Chen looked at the table and noticed how the mobile phone rang there. Lin got up from the table. She told her partners that she needed to leave for a moment. Chen, in amazement, told the main character that the owner of the cafe is the wife of her head Lenya in the car dealership. Lin at that time stood aside and spoke on the phone. The main character turned sharply to his girlfriend and said that all this was a great coincidence. Yuan thought displeased to himself that laziness had a beautiful wife at home, but he still flirts with other employees. Chen explained to the guy that she was still keeping correspondence on the phone where the boss pursued her and threatened her. The girls suggested showing all this correspondence of Miss Lin. The main character in a calm voice answered the girl that all this would not be appropriate. Yuan explained that after the evidence came out, the man would immediately understand who leaked him. He promised the girl that he himself would figure it out. Chen with a smile and joyfully looked at the protagonist and thanked him. Yuan held the phone in his hands. He told the girl that he transferred the owner of the cafe about 250,000 yuan. 24,000 will be a salary for her for 2 months. The remaining money will serve as initial capital for business. The system told the owner that he had an investment level. The guy received an additional award for participating in the task. He could get mysterious ability. Yuan was delighted to himself due to the fact that he received 10 million yuan for investment. He also received a secret skill that he really wanted to reveal. Lin came up and held out her hand. She informed him that she had already received payment. The woman added that she hopes for an ambulance. Yan was surprised to note that the hand of the owner of the cafe was very soft. He stared her goodbye. The main character imagined fantasies. How would he hug the owner of Lin? Wan got up near the table. He promised Lin that they would definitely see her again. Chen sat at the table opposite the protagonist. She asked him if he often happens in this expensive restaurant. Yuan explained to his girlfriend that today is a great day to celebrate partnership. The main character looked at his girlfriend and thought that she was irresistible. The main character slyly offered a girlfriend to sit next to him. Yuan held out his hand to the side and helped his girlfriend sit next to him. The guy remembered that he spent a lot of money on a cafe and would pay his girlfriend a salary. He decided that he needed to receive his interest. The main character was sitting next to the girl. She felt very constrained. Chen felt the guy touched her from behind. She thought that in this world nothing is given just like that, and there should be its own reason. The main character hugged a girlfriend. The girl told him in a displeased voice that he should stop. The waitress was supposed to approach them. The guy answered his girlfriend that in this place the dish is not served so fast, and she may not worry. The main character pressed his girlfriend and put his hand to her on his foot. Chen shouted to him to stop. A minute later, the waitress shouted to the client from the outside of the booth that his order was ready. Chen shouted to her friend that someone was going. The protagonist told the waitress as calmly as possible that she could come in. Yuan put food in a plate for a girl at a table with sticks. He said that this is a branded dish of a restaurant. The girl looked at the guy on the side and decided that he was a Huan crook, behaved very much. Chen carefully studied the guy with her gaze and decided that she should not have hung up on this. 40 minutes later, the waitress behind the persistent handed the main character a check in the amount of 2,600 yuan. She gave him a code for translation. Yuan handed the phone to pay for dinner. He thought that the system transferred all the money spent on him in a triple size. A surprised girlfriend stood next to him. On the street, the girl told the main character that she wants to return to the restaurant. She talks to the waitress and learns more about the work. Yuan explained to his companion that it was better for him to return home now and relax. Tomorrow she will go to the cafe with renewed vigor. Chen in a shy voice asked the protagonist to throw her home. Yuan agreed to a girlfriend. The girl near the car promised the guy that she would send him a report tomorrow in a day. Yuan asked his girlfriend a little water. Chen bashfully turned away and said that all this was not very appropriate. She thought to herself that the guy was in a hurry. Yuan told the girl a judicious voice that another man could wait at home. A girlfriend in a displeased voice reminded Yuan that she recently broke up with C. The guy in a calm voice explained to his girlfriend that he just wanted to drink water from her. The companion strictly asked the guy, "Is he really going to just drink water and leave?" Yuan answered the girl that he would remain with her if she did not want to let him go. Chen looked displeased and suspiciously at the guy. She carefully studied him. The main character approached behind and grabbed his girlfriend with his hand by the waist. Chen near the door looked at the guy with displeasure and tried to dig out of his hand. Yan put his hand on the girl's leg. She shyly reminded him that he only wanted to drink water. The guy answered the girl, fun that he wants to drink other water. The protagonist hugged his girlfriend and kissed him. She no longer resisted. At this time, an expensive car drove up to the building below. The man at the wheel scared thought that he could regain his Chen. The man went outside with a bouquet of flowers. He looked at the building and noticed that in the apartment the light was still not turned on. He decided to leave flowers near the entrance. The girl had to understand that he gave them to her. C's went to the girl's door and heard someone's voices and noise inside. He listened carefully and realized that this was the voice of the protagonist. The angry SE began to knock on the door with all his might. He demanded that the girl go out as soon as possible. The main character listened and realized that he hears the voice of C. The man came to the girl even after they broke up. The girl listened carefully. She realized that outside someone was knocking on the door. Yuan answered her girlfriend what she heard. The main character hugged a girlfriend stronger and said that it would be better for them to go inside. Chen asked her friend to be gentle. Yuan carried her in her arms. Simorli dropped flowers to the floor near the girl's door. He realized that he already had no chance. Chen on the bed told the main character that such things are very tiring. The girl on the bed looked at the guy with displeasure and asked what he was doing. Yuan asked her girlfriend to turn on her back so as not to get tired. The guy glanced joyfully at his girlfriend from above. With the help of a special system skill, his interest did not fall. Yuan decided that the behavior of Chen in the bed would excite him. The next day, the main character woke up on the bed and looked aside. He heard the smell of food. Chen already woke up. She stood in the kitchen and prepared breakfast for her guest. Yuan was sitting on the bed. He thought his girlfriend was very attentive. Such an atmosphere could only be felt at home. Chen at this time on the stove cooked scrambled eggs. The system told the owner details about the perfect life. He received various awards. Wen thought joyfully to himself that the system had just realized his thoughts. He decided that the fee for such a task would not be modest. The main character introduced himself near the pool, surrounded by several girlfriends. He decided that the mansion would be an ideal option for him. Chen turned away from the stove and informed the guy that breakfast would be ready in 2 minutes. The main character asked a girlfriend, "Is it really that only breakfast awaits him?" He was wondering what award he would receive if the sympathy of Chen reaches the 90 level. The main character came up from behind and hugged the girl. Chen shouted to him displeasedly that now is only a day. Chen dropped a kitchen scapula on the floor. The main character told the girl a cunning voice that they could take a walk today. He wanted to choose a house to give her. The girl was surprised to remember that the main character spent 300,000 on the purchase of a cafe. And now he wanted to buy a house for her. Real estate in the city would cost at least $1 million. Chen thought the guy liked their joint night. Yuan kissed his girlfriend and asked if she really didn't want such a gift. She answered the guy that all this is unexpected for her. The guy joyfully remembered that he had more than 3.5 million yuan. If he spends them on the purchase of a house, then the system will return him 5 times. As a result, he will receive 17 million. The main character hugged a girlfriend and said that she would choose a house with an area of 120 square meters for herself. Yuan told his girlfriend that this apartment has a very poor sound insulation. They can no longer be here. Chen explained to a friend that this is not only her fault. The main character told the girl that this is his fault, that she screamed loudly. The girl with excitement reminded the guy that she should meet with her girlfriends at 10:30 today. She offered him first to drink coffee, and then go see real estate. The main character explained to the girl that to buy a house, you need to choose a suitable place and deal with paperwork. After lunch for this, there will be no time. Chen answered a friend that she would inform her friends about this. The girl in a car scaredly informed her friend Mengu that Chen could not come due to urgent matters. Liu Mengu asked the passenger, "Why not there will be their girlfriend?" The passenger told the girl that Chen may have problems with the cafe. She also could not believe that some guy would just spend 300,000 on the purchase of a business for an unfamiliar girlfriend. Liu thought to herself that she had not met a young and beautiful guy for many years. She could not believe that Chen could get such a friend first. She wanted to meet the main character. The passenger began to write a message on the phone, concentrated. She wanted to ask Chen about everything. The girl suddenly hit the brake pedal with all her might, and the car began to stop. The passenger was scared with surprise that Chen would receive a house as a gift from her friend today. Liu looked with excitement in front of him. She calculated that the guy was ready to spend on her girlfriend from 800 to 900,000. The driver realized that she should meet the main character. She decided that she could attract a yuan. Liu asked her girlfriend to clarify from Chen what real estate she wants to choose. They could help her. The passenger concentratedly began to write a message on the phone for a girlfriend. The car, along with the girls, stopped near the luxurious housing complex. Liu looked in front of him and thought that the house in this area is very expensive. The girl joyfully waved her friend with her hand and shouted that they had not seen each other for a long time. Chen said she really missed. A girlfriend asked Chen what a guy next to her and asked her to introduce them. Chen introduced the protagonist to her friends. She called their names. Chen told the guy that Liu Mengu is her personal coach. Hu Jian is the seller of the Ferrari class. Liu looked at the protagonist. She told him that he could come to her gym and his muscles have potential. The girl thought joyfully to herself that the guy was very young and beautiful. She was envied. Yuan explained that he would not be able to concentrate in the gym. Lu Ho looked aside and realized that if the guy flirts with her, it means that he does not meet with Chen. Meng's looked at her girlfriend and noticed that she had broken knees. She realized that this is why the main character decided to buy her house. Hu smiled at the guy and said that if he wants to change the car, he could come to her salon. Yuan explained that when he wants to change the car, he will come to her. The protagonist noticed that his 2 acquaintances of the girls had sympathy for him. The guy thought to himself that the more he had friends with a high level of sympathy, the more he would make money. Yuan walked along the street with his friends. They headed for the house. One of the men looked displeased at the guy, accompanied by 3 beauties. The saleswoman stood near the layout of the house. She called the guy the prices of the apartments and invited him to get acquainted with the layout. The main character told the saleswoman that his budget is about 3 million yuan. He asked the girl to show him the apartments that are suitable for his capital. The saleswoman invited guests to the negotiation room. She wanted to give them a more professional consultation. Liu was very surprised when she heard that the main character could easily spend 3 million. Meng very strongly told herself that she should catch on such a guy. The employee was sitting at the table. She offered the main character a suitable apartment for 2,900,000 yuan. Chen with excitement looked at her friend. The price of real estate for her seemed large. The main character put his hand on the girl's leg and said that she would not be worried about the price. Living in a large house is much more comfortable. Liu carefully watched the guy from the side. She realized that he was a true sponsor, faithful and generous. The main character decided to bargain with the saleswoman. He asked her if there was any discount. The employee told the guy that if he wants to make a choice today, she would ask to increase the discount. Yuan said he was ready to get 2 parking spaces for himself. Liu looked at the protagonist with interest. She realized that she should get him. Yan looked displeased at the girl Menggu and became interested in what she was planning. The main character looked at the girl and realized to himself that she was very luxurious. Yuan studied his new familiar with a very close and attentive look. The main character introduced himself in fantasy with the girl. He decided that it would be fine for him. Yuan told himself that he should not be distracted now. He had to focus on buying a house. The saleswoman handed the main character the pen and told him to sign the contract. The purchase for him cost almost 3 million. 2 girlfriends sat and watched with great excitement how the guy signed a document for the purchase of real estate. Liu looked at the guy with envy and also wanted a house for 3 million. The main character looked at the phone. He received a message that more than 15 million yuan had come to his account. The guy thought joyfully that the system was simply amazing. Attracting a large number of women was the right way for him. The system told the owner that he should receive a mission. He received the villa on Lake Xinju. Tomorrow the guy must come to the office at 9 in the morning to sign the documents. Yuan was very happy. The saleswoman looked at the guy and thought cunningly to herself that she would also like to have such a friend. She invited the main character to exchange contacts. He could contact her if he wanted to buy more real estate. The main character held the phone in his hand. He said to the saleswoman that she could scan his account. Liu was very angry because of that I saw a stranger in front of him, who encroached on her boyfriend. Mengge jumped up and said with a smile to the main character that she also planned to buy an apartment in the future. She will need advice from him. Liu scanned the phone of the protagonist. She told him with a smile that she would always help him with training. The main character got to his feet and told his girlfriend that she could go with the girls and have a bite. He had other plans. Liu was unhappy due to the fact that the guy left and did not want to have lunch with them. Chen invited her friends to go to the cafe. Who said the girl that she now costs as many as 3 million and they die with envy. Liu smiled joyfully and said that she agreed. Half an hour later, the main character was in the dining room in college. He noticed how the assistant sat at the same table. Wen came up and looked carefully at the girl. She held the phone in her hands. The girl with someone talked on the phone and said that the report would be ready for tomorrow. She clarified for her partner that she would be busy tomorrow in the evening. The assistant said on the phone to the Secretary of State Liu that this time she really could not. After that, she said goodbye. The main character came from the side. Yuan asked the professor what happened to her. The girl told the guy that their college plans to create a base of startups for students. This is what she discussed. Yuan took a spoon in his hands and asked Li with interest about the base for the startup. The professor extended her hand to the tray of food. She told the guy that the administration wants to provide entrepreneurial support to students. But now they have problems, and they have enough funding. Therefore, they are looking for partnerships with foreign companies. Yuan asked the professor what conditions their college could offer companies. The girl told the guy that they can offer their talents, which conclude contracts with companies. The student said that there are very few graduates at their university compared to large educational institutions. Li explained to the guy that if the company does not receive what they want, then they will refuse investments. The displeased girl remembered that the Secretary of State was invited to drink with the directors of the company. The main character looked at the professor and remembered that he had 10 million on his account. Li thought to herself that in order for the project to be considered profitable, The level of student performance should be 33%. In their college, there was only 20%. The guy hesitated and did not know what to say. The professor asked him if he was interested. The student answered her that he was not particularly interested. Lee, with excitement, told the guy that it is very good that he has ideas and desires. But the project has not yet been launched. The system told the owner that he should earn points and invest in student projects. As a reward, he could get special skills. Yuan sat at the table and thought that such a base would be perfect for him. She would help the professor solve her problem. The main character joyfully thought to himself that he was an investor and could decide to whom and how much to invest in. Yuan decided to invest in a store for students and earn glasses on this. Everything would bring him a lot of money. The guy asked who was evaluating students for investment. Lee explained to the guy that the college should evaluate students. But they now have no investors. Therefore, they still have opportunities for negotiations. Yan told the girl that he agreed to be an investor, but he will choose students for financing. Lee reminded the guy surprised that his family is bankrupt. He even applied for a scholarship. The protagonist showed the girl the phone with his remaining account. Yuan told himself that he should no longer behave modestly. He will show everyone himself and deserve more respect and sympathy. Lee looked in surprise at the phone and said that the guy had 15. The professor was interested in the guy's surprise. Where did he get so much money from? Yuan explained that he earned on cryptocurrency and foreign exchanges. Lee was very surprised when she realized that one of her students was a multi-millionaire. The main character leaned toward the girl and said that she would follow him. He told the professor that in the future they would travel around the world. He wants to take care that she lives in luxury. The guy imagined as if he were led his professor by the hand on the beach. Lee, in a displeased and offended voice, told the guy so that he would not say stupidity. She warned him that student startups rarely make a profit. The main character jumped to his feet. He told the girl that he still wants to contribute to the development of college. The girl, with great excitement, realized that the guy was serious when he offered them to be together. The professor strictly reminded to herself that the guy is just her student. Lee jumped up from the table. She told the guy that she needed to go now. They will be able to talk later. Yuan shouted goodbye to the girl to think well what it means to eat well and drink good. The main character corresponded on the phone with a girlfriend. Chen invited him to her to drink coffee. The former classmate of the protagonist, Sun Xiao, heard a conversation on the side. Someone said that the main character is no longer the rich boy as he was. A girlfriend told the girl Yupin that she herself meets with a neighbor's neighbor in the room. Yupin asked girlfriends to go next time with her when the guy would treat them with dinner. The girl told her girlfriend that when she will go with Huan Haibao next time, she could eat for free. If she chooses the yuan, then she will only lose money in vain. The girl cunningly turned to the side and told her friends that Yuan was walking next to them. The main character approached the stairs and prepared to climb it. One of the students said that the guy had to run on a part-time job now. For him, it was the time. The girl said to her girlfriends with a cunning voice that they can find out in which place the main character works. Sun answered the girlfriends that they were all classmates, and there is no need to find out. The girl asked the protagonist, where is he earned? She promised that they would come to him and support him. Yin smiled and decided that he could play along with him. He told the girls that he works in a coffee shop and can treat them. The students came to the cafe and noticed two working girls, Liu and Chen, there. Students were surprised to look at the cafe worker. Sun could not believe that such stylish beauties work in such a place. Chen joyfully greeted the protagonist. Liu asked his friend, did he really say that he had a meeting with his classmates?